my name is Susan Sayers, and welcome to my kitchen in Grand Junction, Colorado. Today I'm going to make a plant-based salad with some wild rice. We're going to add some Italian parsley, some green onions, some cuties, a Granny Smith apple, and some celery. And we're going to also add a little bit of walnuts and dried cranberries. And then to the salad dressing will be a red wine vinegar. So the first part of the recipe is to make the wild rice. So I'm going to start with cooking the wild rice. This package, I'm going to follow the directions on this package, and it says to take a cup of the wild rice to 4 cups of water. So I'll measure out a cup of the wild rice. All right. I'm going to put the wild rice in, and then I'm going to take 4 cups of water. And the other thing that you could do is if you already had the wild rice made up from a meal earlier in the week, then you could just have that all ready and, have it in your fridge ready to go. So when I make rice, what I do is usually turn it up to high and bring it to a boil. And then I'm going to be watching it, and once it comes to a boil, then we'll put it down to simmer, and then it'll need to cook for about 45 minutes or so. So the next is we're going to start chopping up. So first I'm going to just clean off my celery. And I usually, when I'm doing this, I don't use the ends of the celery, so I'm going to kind of just get rid of those. But then I'm just going to kind of chop them up into bite-sized pieces. And this recipe calls for about 4 stalks of celery. Alright, so now that we're done chopping the celery, I'm going to go ahead and put that in my salad bowl. Next step is we've got Italian parsley, and we want to just kind of de-stem that, take the leaves off. And so I'm just going to do a couple little pieces to show you here. And then once I have that de-stemmed, what I'm going to do is just chop that up. And I suppose if you have a food processor or something like that, you could do it that way as well. So I'm going to put all of my parsley in. All right, so now I've kind of got my Italian parsley all chopped up. I decided to use Italian parsley because that's what I had in my fridge. I feel like it has a little bit more flavor. Parsley has huge health benefits. It's got lots of vitamin A and vitamin C in it, vitamin K. All right, so next I'm going to check my rice and see if it's boiling, and it has come to a boil, so now I'm going to turn that down onto simmer, and I'm going to set my timer for 45 minutes. Set my timers for 45 minutes for my rice. Alright, and now I'm going to move on. I went ahead and already peeled some cuties to use as my mandarin oranges. This recipe called for mandarin oranges and syrup that was supposed to be drained, but I feel like it's healthier just to use the whole food. So I used cuties, and 3 cuties actually worked out to a cup of the oranges. So now I'm going to chop up my green onions and add them to the salad. And I tend to use all of the green onions. I kind of go out as far as I can on the end. Alright, I'm going to add those in. And then the last thing I'm going to chop up for my recipe is a Granny Smith apple. So I'm going to take out the center section. And And this adds a little bit of tartness to the recipe, which really makes it taste good. So, and then the other things I already prepared were my walnuts. That's a 1/4 cup of walnuts, and those I just chopped up finely. And then it called for a 1/2 cup of dried cranberries. And then once we get it all finalized, they call for 6 tablespoons of the red wine vinegar. And then they kind of recommend just tasting it to see whether you think it's enough or a little bit more, a little bit less. Now I've got my Granny Smith apple chopped up, so I'm going to add that to my salad bowl. And I'm going to go ahead and add my oranges that are all stuck in here. And then I'm going to add my walnuts and my dried cranberries. And then I'm going to kind of just mix those up, and basically the only thing we have left to add now is the wild rice and the red wine vinegar. All right, so now I'm going to check my rice, and my timer went off, but actually I found that I needed to cook it a little bit longer, partly because we live at altitude here, so sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But what you can do is just test a grain and make sure that it's not too mushy, but it has a little bit of firmness to it, and I think it's turned out perfectly. So now I'm gonna let my rice just cool, and then we're gonna add it to the rest of the salad. So when I tested my rice, I felt like it was ready, and it still had a little bit of leftover water, so I'm just draining off the last little bit of water. And now I'm ready to add it into my salad. And then what we're going to do is add the red wine vinegar. And I'm kind of wondering if this is going to taste a little bit better, if it's got a little added sweetness, so I have my maple syrup out just in case. I'm going to try it first. Alright, so now I'm going to add, the recipe called for about 6 tablespoons of the red wine vinegar. There's 6 tablespoons. And now I'm going to toss this together. It's looking very colorful and good. And the other thing is, for my family who likes things a little bit sweeter, I think I am going to go ahead and add just like about maybe a couple tablespoons of maple syrup just to sweeten it up a little bit. And then I'm going to mix it together a little bit more, and it is ready to eat. And this is my wild rice salad with some Granny Smith apples and clementines and lots of good stuff. So enjoy.